We're back.
So what we were talking about, bringing whole self into the situation. So as ordained clergy, we have annual conferences. The ministers, we come together and we have continuing education and that kind of thing, so that we keep up the integrity of who we are offering our ministry out into the world. And something that we were talking about as far as from an ethical perspective of bringing a whole centered self to a situation. If we're going to be offering pastoral care or in any way in the ministry, the idea is to bring a whole centered self instead of just my whole self and then just all the oogly boogly about that. No, my goal, I need to bring a whole centered self so that I can be of service in the best possible way for that other person. And then what's interesting, you were asking about that, and I was thinking about this weekend, the message that I preached on was about when Jesus was telling that person to go sell everything in order to follow. And a lot of people get upset. Wait a minute, what? I got to give up everything and you want me to do what? It's 2012. Wait a minute, I got to give up this whole house. Now where am I going to go? Is it going to do me any good to give up this whole house and my car and everything to go follow?
That's the fear talking and the irrational thinking, as well as excuses because there's not enough knowledge. Give us the knowledge, Jen.
Oh, come on, I'm going to break it down. Okay, so here we go as far as, and Swedenborg wanted to come to the table. What? So anyway, I don't know where that all came from. But the point is, the possessions that we're supposed to be giving up are those worldly possessions. It's because we, from my theological perspective, we are created of a balance of love and wisdom. God is love and wisdom. We are a reflection of that love and wisdom that dwells within. That love and wisdom also is reflected in our will and our understanding. Our will comes from love, our understanding from wisdom. So we have both of those. We have to give what we're asked, what we're invited to. It's completely up to us. It's our free will if we do it or not. Is to give up our worldly perspective.
The over-identification.
Our human will and understanding. That which is going to get in the way of our spiritual, our centered, our, dare I say, cosmic will and understanding that connects us to everything. So that's what Jesus was saying, is that I need you to give up this so that you can have this, because this, your human stuff, is going to get in the way of you experiencing this. If you're supposed to follow me in that Christ consciousness, however that's expressed, is supposed to wake up within you, then I'm going to need you to do this. But you're invited. You don't have to.
So go back to that era of time. Their thinking was, what do you mean? They probably didn't have that frame of reference, so they had talked about physical, because that's something you put your finger on. And what I've learned over time, when I read that Bible the third time through and all of man's opinions disappeared, what was left was, what I had to give up was the over-identification. I remember the first time when I was told that, oh, yeah, you got to give up everything, you're going to die. What does that mean? I don't want to give up who I am. And what it was just the over-identification of the pain, my anguish. Do I want to keep the pain and anguish? Actually, no, I didn't. And when I finally started to get rid of that, it became just a natural process to already be basking in the light of who I already am. It's that spiritual nature. That's what it's really all about. And when you are bringing your whole self to the table, you don't need to bring your baggage. You can bring your files that can help with the analogy, like if you're building something, you can say, oh yeah, I remember a long time ago, my grandfather taught me this trick. You bring the files. You don't need to bring where all of a sudden everything has to be paid attention to you while you're trying to hammer something in the wall. You can probably multitask, but if you were to just take and intentionally focus on what you were doing, it would make everything go smoother, faster, and probably create a better rapport with the person that you're working with instead of your crap being in the way. So does that make sense?
Makes sense to me. If you're sitting there and we just have this wall of luggage, physical luggage, what is that going to do?
Well, what it did was in my first marriage, it was interesting because it was a projection that I had brought up all through my life. And that's what I'm breaking down, and so I don't have it with my husband now because I don't want to live that way. But back to that day, he was trying to put a shelf up, and it was funny because he was having all kinds of trouble. It was basically one flat board and, 2 brackets. And by God, he couldn't figure out what was going on. And he was having one, I was over there sweeping, making pizzas, trying to ignore him because he hates when I'm interfere. So he just threw everything down and he left. So he left. I kind of, so I ran over there. I quickly did what I did. You know, I just, all right, so I lined it up, marked, drilled holes, put it up, drilled it up. He came back, you know, because the bank was right across the street. So he comes back and the shelf was up. Now, I, sweeping, you're trying to ignore the fact that I had done this. He was so pissed that I put that up that he took it down, and he didn't put it up for 2 days later, and then he put it up, and so he could say he put it up. And he was pissed. Now, the other thing was we had this meat slicer.
I have a few thoughts about that.
Yeah. We had this meat slicer, and there was this little tiny pin that would break. Well, this is before anybody knew it. And he could not get that thing to work. We needed meat for the subs. And so then he storms out being pissed. I went over there and I'm like, okay, what the hell's wrong with it? Stand out. Oh, and I noticed it. So then I slipped it back in. And then he came back in the room and I ran like hell. And so then he goes over there and he's moaning. And then his friend come up and started to use the meat. That meat slicer don't work. And he's like, what do you mean it don't work? As it's slicing the meat. I have no idea what you're talking about. What'd you do? I was so shut up. I stayed in that corner. I ain't gonna tell you I fixed it. So, you know, I know you got comments. Go ahead, Jen.
I'm glad that you're no longer with that person.
So am I.
Yeah,
that
might be kind of awkward.
Right,
awkward.
That's the short story. I have a whole lot of other words that I would use to describe
Now,
that
she has
situation.
fuel inside of her that she needs to heal because it sparked her all over the place. Boom, 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 boom. Well, I got something to say about that. So it's good that I was able to bring up some crap that
So
she
do
needed to
tell
heal.
us what you really think, Jen.
Yes, we do want to know to some degree, so that I can really.
I would have done I would have probably shot several expletives in his direction. And done a little dance about that.
Could you do that in front of your husband?
No.
No, so it's always important that the RTJP says, I can do that, but when it really is faced with it, shit, can't do that.
Because we were talking, why were we talking about whether or not there was going to be physical violence?
I don't know, something we talked about today.
We talked about it after the other show. The threat was always there. I felt...
That's right, somebody was going to kill
himself.
If I pushed it too far, there would have been a physical response from him. And that was what I felt. I don't know if it was true, but I felt that.
But it came up when you said, oh my God, we got to pray for this person that might kill themselves. I said, here's the thing. Would this person actually follow through? I have seen people use it as a last-ditch effort, okay? Your relationship's over. Oh my God, that person that says they're going to kill themselves, usually it's their last-ditch effort. What really need to follow through on is this. Do they do it? When they say they're going to do something, will they do it? Like when my husband says, blah, 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 and I'm like, that's tough talk, honey, I love you, but would you follow through? Probably not. Okay, you know it's the RTJP. So when people actually are...
Those chemical peptides.
Right, we all do it. We all do it. But if this person really can't even, the thought of even trying to kill themselves wouldn't really do this, then you have to understand, is it a ditch effort? Mm-hmm. And so that's what it brought up that made you drift over to
the follow through in that.
The follow through.
I mean,
yes,
there was enough explosive stuff being tossed in my direction that I didn't want to push it. But what's interesting is at the end when we were breaking up and he said he wanted fight back. I think he was expecting me to do that little dance of expletives and that kind of thing.
You showed up differently.
But I couldn't do it because I felt that threat was there. Had I pushed too far at the wrong time, I would have had to pay in some. I mean, it was already bad enough, the anger and the other volatile stuff that was happening at me. I wouldn't want to have that.
But you also, your heart was not even in it slightly. You were actually done, and you had already done that soul healing meditation, which literally changed the energy cord. You had taken your soul cord off of him and said, okay, I'm unhooking you. You have a choice now. You can choose to bond with me again in a healthier way, or just bow out. And he chose to
bow out.
And there was no fight back. My husband for 3 days. He was going through all of this stuff, and then finally he's like, what am I doing? I want her. I wish he would speak, but you gotta remember, he's a shy guy to some degree.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I know. Now, we were watching Eureka yesterday, and Eureka, Jack, is supposed, he loves Allison, but he would always wait. And then she says, well, I guess maybe we shouldn't be dating. And so Jack starts to walk away. Scott's going, just kiss her already! And so then all of a sudden,
It was
and he did! Jack comes running back, grabs Allison's face, and kissed her. And of course, now they're a couple. My husband did that for me too. And I didn't think he would ever fight for me. But
It was so interesting hearing the male's perspective during this show.
Oh,
Be
yeah,
just so
usually-
animated. Be so animated about this.
Well,
It's like, oh, okay.
and usually they
only in TV. I mean, she's a hot chick, you know. No guy's
Oh,
gonna
I
walk
took
away
his
from
man
that.
card away. Sorry. Here's your man card.
Right, yeah, she says hot chick, and you gotta
She's
go
hot,
after that.
so
Yeah, you got
a
yeah.
single guy is not gonna walk away from that.
And mine must have been a hot chick because he didn't leave me either. But well,
Yes.
it was that he finally, I could feel his soul cord detach back and say, yes, I want you. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do with this? And then we were talking, and the next thing you know, he put his hands and he cupped my face and he
Oh,
gave me a
jeez.
kiss. But he pursued in a different way to show me that he loved me, just like Jack did with Allison. And it was like, it did. It overswept me. All of that stuff that said, what do I do? Do I take him back? Was, I really hope this is it. My heart wants him back. My heart never wanted to get rid of him in the first place. But I wanted a better relationship. But that's how determined I was. I wanted a better relationship. And we couldn't do it in the same mind that we created the hells in, so I had to be in a different mind, and so was he. And when he got into a different mind, I got in a different mind, then we were able to create something better. And he did fight for me. I mean, you were crushed when, oh, he only spent 1 damn hour and it was with his parents to fight for me. Well, you were kind of hurt by that to some degree.
Yeah.
To
But
some
also
degree.
relief.
Yeah, there was it was a mixture of emotions. Mostly like, God, I just want to leave, and this is taking so long. And then afterwards, it's like, hey, that only took that long.
Yes. Yes, that's the funny part. But, you know, we get what we pray for sometimes. And you got to remember, your hells, your problems are all created with a certain mindset. And that's hooked with a strategy, a pattern, and decisions, and emotions and sensory systems. And people think, no, it's just a thought. Well, no, it's not just a thought. It is a complicated thought.
Because
And
you're developing your consciousness.
yes, exactly. Say it again, Jen.
Because that thought is developing your consciousness. It's a reflection of your consciousness, and it's a continuation of your consciousness. And you're building. It's like building a house. That's what you're building, is your consciousness, and that's what, I mean, keeps us.
And I like the house analogy because, again, your foundation is your past. When people say, oh, just if your past calls, don't answer. Well, here's the thing. The subconscious mind.
You can only ignore it so long, and you can only be that little ostrich with your head in the sand so long.
Right. People need a new structure, and that's what I'm supposed to do, is help them give them that structure. Now, this is nothing new on the planet. It's been around for a long, long, long time. It's just now being addressed and being able to talk. It's just like, well, if you come from California, hey, you seen a psychiatrist? No. Why not? You need to be. Over in this part of the world, hey, you seen a psychiatrist? No. What did you hear? No, just you didn't hear a thing. No, I'm not seeing one of those. But we're actually waking up and realizing that it's important that you don't have all the answers and that you want a better, happier, healthier life. And there is a way to do it. So the information's finally trickling down or creating the domino effect on this side of the world. And so part of my job is to open up and to help you understand that you can learn it on the whispering opportunity, meaning, hey, you got it like the first time, versus having to wait for the bitch slap and going, what the hell? Why does this happen to me again and again and again? It seems complicated, but when you understand that the foundation of your house is built on pain, then it's not going to hold up the walls very well. It's not going to hold up the attic. And the walls will come tumbling down if you do keep that foundation. When you have building a house or you're going to go buy a house, you usually check your foundation. And if the foundation is rotted, you say to the last owner, fix it. And then I'll buy your house. But if they don't, then you realize that you need to go and say, okay, you know what, I'll pay less and I'll fix the foundation myself. It depends on, again, how you're going to apply yourself to your situation and why it's so important.
Because you go through that inspection. There's an inspection process.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for us. You need to go through that inspection process.
Exactly. And there are tools, and when I listen to people complain, they don't realize that that's energy loss. Your subconscious mind's number one job is to preserve the body. So what's it do? It scans your cells and looks for where there's energy loss. Then it brings it to the surface and says, hey, could you take care of this? And you're like, get out of my face. I didn't want to deal with you with the first time. I couldn't process it the first time. Get out of here. So you learn to store it, and you learn to high-side it by talking positive to yourself, giving yourself a pep talk, really ignoring. Or, you know, as they say, get over it. You know, you're like, okay, there's the crap again. Okay, fine, I'm just going to ignore it, deny it, suppress it. Well, that creates a whole host of disease in the body, as well as attracts hell to your world. So really understanding that your subconscious mind and your soul is not the enemy. It's presenting life to you and says, look, you understand that past life is all about the fact that your soul is continuing its journey, and this time it's dreaming and it created a body like you have. And it's dreaming all of these things. And what's it doing? Is you want to stop recycling into a body? Well, you need to start addressing your issues. And the issues are, oh, I couldn't process it in this lifetime and I couldn't process it now. Or, oh, I'm in the beginning of understanding this, but I don't quite got enough information. So I need to go over here and find out what it isn't so I can find out what it really is. But then a lot of people don't heal all of the crap that baggage they carried from the bad stuff. And when you preserve all the positive learnings, the bad stuff literally just starts to fall away. That dross falls away, and you are able to then carry yourself forward so you resolve your issue to evolve. You resolve to evolve. Hey,
all right.
Hey. Okay, so, like I said, we're doing interviews starting Friday. We really would like your whole self to be there for us. And she will be doing readings and things like this, so that would be great if you would like to join us from 5 to 7 at Eastern Standard Time. Please tell your friends if they want to, you know, just make a little Facebook thing or get on mine and then just share what ours is, and you can become friends with us. We'd love for you to become friends with us. I'm looking for testimonials as well because I'm going to do the telesummit and I need testimonials. Now, if you're curious, if you would like to, that would be great. You go to MWR. Oops, sorry, wrong one. You go to mwreveal.com, and there's actually a survey and testimonial sheet, and you can fill one out. That would be great. I do need a name and maybe the state you're from and the phone number or email.
Heavenly state.
Yeah, and also, you know, the better it is if you had a video and audio of your testimony, or even a picture would help, so that they look like you're real and I'm not making you up. So, if you ever had a healing from me in the past or whatever, because I really want to do this telesummit, and I'm excited about it. I got everything done but the testimonies. So, that's the thing we're waiting on. Now, what we're talking about is that whole self, that relationship, the honesty. When you're in that relationship, there's nothing wrong with having your point of view. There's nothing wrong with having your emotions.
Right.
Okay, but it's when those emotions interfere with having the relationship. Like the other day, what I had to heal was when, and it was interesting because it's all about, it's my fault as being a little kid. As the adult walk around, I would have never really thought about it, but I've been healing my lungs, and that has to do with grief. He was sitting there working on something, and he's moved into my healing room, which is now his office, and up above is a light fixture that I like and he hates. So that causes grief into itself, that he hates anything I like. That's like when I was a kid, no matter what I said or did, people would just have grief over the fact that I said it or did it. It's like when I was sitting and eating cereal, my sister was saying, oh, you caused me grief, get out of my space. I mean, literally, if it's mine, it's an idea. I'm the one that's causing you to have problems. So I was feeling this, so I went in and started to heal some stuff. And then he burnt himself on my lamp because I said, you know, if you want to shine the light down so you can see better, you can direct them individually. So he reaches up and burns himself, and he cusses at my...
That hot. They're little tiny bulbs, about 5 of them.
But they're really hot.
Halogen.
Yeah, each of them equally as hot as these. When I was younger, we used to use these heat lamps for the chickens. and each one's like a little mini heat lamp.
Yes.
It's like, I can just see the electrical meter out there spinning every time I turn that
So,
light on.
do you hear the grief? Do you hear the grief?
Yes,
His
you
grief,
do.
I morphed because I'm a kinesthetic. I took on that grief because how dare I buy something stupid?
No, I
You
didn't.
can heal that.
And he got burnt by it. I caused that grief as well.
No,
And
that's my
then
fault.
it's an ugly fixture, so that was another grief for him as well. So as a kid, I took it on that it's my fault that they're unhappy. And it stores my lungs. Am I consciously thinking this? No. It literally is these old programs. And I'm like, seriously, really? To the point where I'm sitting at my computer and I'm just had accepted somebody's friend request, and then he's over there talking about, well, I don't know this person. I don't want to become
Yeah, somebody
friends
wanted
with
to be my friend. Some woman, which I'd never heard of before.
A woman you haven't heard of before.
Yeah,
But
somebody
she
out
was
of the
friends
blue
with
asked-
somebody, some
asked
other
me,
people.
Yeah, asked me, wanted me to confirm her being a friend.
I don't like when people ask me to be friends. I don't know who they are. And of
only
course, that
friend
was
people I know.
in my mindset because I just had this thing that occurred.
Oh,
it was
boy,
perfect
did that
timing.
open a can of worms.
And
up.
I said, oh God, here I know I need to work on something now, but it's coming out. And so pretty much I said, seriously, how is a person supposed to reach out if we got attitudes
all
like
of a sudden
that?
I became everybody that ever denied you friendship. That's who I became.
Very good.
Everybody that ever smacked you in the
But
face or something.
what
That's who I
But
became.
what I had to do was to get it across to you that there's another side. Why would anybody want to reach out? It's because they probably want to reach out. Do you know that the human touch, even if you don't touch physically, you are reaching out? I mean, Mark sits there and he helps me out. I mean, I saw his picture, but he doesn't physically in my space. I'd never give him a hug. But it's that comfort of knowing that there's a friendship being built. When babies are born, like the twins were born, there's a famous one where the twins were born, they separated them, and then the one baby was going to die, so they put the twins together, and the other one started to thrive. The power of touch. I remember just wanting someone to hold my hand so that the energy, you can feel it. It's the power of being close to one another. Again, if you do not even have, if you don't even have that sense of touch, there is somewhere in Facebook, like I have never met Karen or Octarine, but I feel close to her. I'm so glad we developed a relationship. And being an introvert as I was, and I am to still some degree, this is the most comfortable thing for me, is to be able to make a friendship like this. Knowing that I can text if I don't want to talk on the phone, because I'm not really a good person that likes to talk on the phone unless I have to work. But at the same time, here I am, we're talking miles apart, but yet we're sharing with one another, we're growing with one another, we're really learning. See, she likes it too. And it's just that part of you that, how do you become someone's friend? And so...
And what's interesting, before we go off in another direction, you were talking about the idea of needing touch for health and that kind of thing, which is interesting because to some degree it's a cultural thing. That, yes, there is actual science behind it. This is something that I learned when I was in my hospital chaplain training. There are different cultures where, and I'm trying to remember, and I don't want to insult, it's either Korea or Vietnam, I believe, where they don't touch the babies. It's in their culture, they don't want to bring attention to the baby because there's some kind of spirit or something and they want to protect the baby, and if they touch the baby then they're bringing attention to the baby, so they don't, until the baby is at a certain point, then they will reach out and hold and nurture and that kind of, but there's a certain period of time, so it's a cultural thing that we understand this, and so that's one way that you can definitely tell what culture we're from, because we
true.
hug and that kind of thing, where in other cultures that's just
I know
not
this
done.
sounds like it's off the topic, but one of the things that they used to do in really harsh climates was that I can't remember if it's Tibet or where it was, is that they would take the babies when they're first born and put them in cold water and wait until they turned blue. Then they would take them out or wrap them up, and if the baby died, then they would have never survived the environment because there's harsh environments. But if the baby lived, the baby was going to be tough enough, and then, see, there was no emotional or mental factor in either one of our stories. It was all based on physical, will you be able to survive?
Correct.
And you're talking about the era of time where the high heart is open, and it's all about, yes, you are a mental being, you are an emotional being, and you can heal the mental and emotional body. Even Eckhart Tolle talks about the pain body, and it's just the emotions and the mental talk. And we're giving you solutions. We're giving you the ability to have healing tools at your own fingertips, and we are soul coaches, so you can just come to us and we can help you. But at the same time, we want you to know that there's somebody out there. When my boyfriend died and was in that car accident, I couldn't process that, and there was nobody around that could help me process it. And all the pain was so bad, how was I supposed to process this? And it wasn't until years later that finally I said, okay, I got to be done with this. And so I found, and I asked the universe, okay, help me process this. I'm done. It seems like I can't process it. So the key word out of anything, any issues you have, is process. When I was raped, how the hell are you supposed to process that? And one way I processed it was that I learned to have a backbone, fight back. And then I went into karate, and I said to my karate instructor, is like 3 feet shorter than me. I swear to God, he was a short. But I said, all right, I have this issue. And I says, would you help me address it? I was pinned in this way. How do I free myself? And he says, all right, I'll be you and you be the aggressor. And so I was. And he had me flipped over 2 feet over on the side of the room. He says, now it's your turn. I said, what? And I'm thinking, I can't flip. Do it. And so I followed his instructions. Lo and behold, I was able to. And he says, and just imagine your will of your strength, of how angry you are, you will be able to do this. It's that power of how you got self-esteem, my will to do these things. How will you survive? I mean, even the gross, horrifying flicks, which I've never seen, but of course I've had some friends explain it to me, thank you, not, was the Saw. You know, there is a spiritual aspect to these dang movies. And it is, how much do you want to live? Will you cut off your ankle? Will you do this? What? You know, and if you didn't have a will to live, then you're wasting that life. And they were like, you don't deserve that life. And it's like, it shouldn't be their call, but then again, that is a horror flick. But it was about, sorry, Jen, your little...
Are we done?
We're done. We're done about that, yeah.
We're done talking about this now?
But that reminds me of just yesterday, as we were watching TV, and there was this light worker. He disappeared in the flash of little twinkly lights. And I said, oh, that's me. I'm disappearing. And it was about the two women in Charmed, and they're talking, and they're not getting along. And he says, no, you guys got to figure it out yourself. And I said, I said, it does. And
go outside and figure it out.
Yeah, and there was something that I said. I said, all I was looking at was as Leo's disappearing. I'm disappearing with the light. Well, in her mind, she's watching her mother telling her, you need to do this with her sister, and that, I'm now projection of her mother that's disappearing in the light. And I'm like, I could feel this pull on my back, like, what? You left me? I turned around, and I'm like, see, now she's doing it again. If you could see in the... That's really hit hard. Okay, so we really need to heal that. That's the lung, thyroid, heart, liver, gallbladder. You resent? No. The gall, the stubbornness, the repressed emotion. Oh, it's repressed emotion.
Yay.
So it's a repressed emotion, but she can feel it. It's coming up. Does it have any self-talk with it? Or is it just bubbling to the surface?
I believe that it's just bubbling to the surface.
Yeah, because you didn't have words for it last night either.
Correct.
All right, so let's look at this. As soon as I have her arm, we will have this. Remember, we're live radio. You just can't sit and pause. Okay, so this repressed emotion, can we give any clues what this repressed emotion is? Yes, lung, thyroid, heart. So it is fright, fear, overjoyed. What? You know, and is there anything else? Yes, I don't know how to handle this. It's the uncomfortability. It's the inappropriateness. You're stuck. You're stuck in that. And is that what you repressed? That is actually... what do you want to call it? It's not repressed as much as it is I wanted to deny it's there. So is it really repressed? Is it emotionally repressed? No. So you're just denying it's there. Okay, so what is the other emotion that tagged along with that? Lung, thyroid, heart, liver. What the hell am I supposed to do with this energy? Okay, so during the break, which you didn't get to see, was that me and Jen both goes, I said, I feel like a one-hit wonder. Oh, dang. Okay, that self-talk's come up before. What is this about? For me, it was about how I feel people are going to check out, people are going to leave. She says, I feel like I'm a one-hit wonder when I'm doing my services at church. It feels like I'm saying the same message over and over. I said, Jen, we need to heal that, and it was in her liver. Now we understand more of the connection. what are you supposed to do with that energy? And for her, it went into die, because you don't know what to do with it. But it also goes in further, which I think, if I look at this correctly, so is this also delivery about aggressive? It feels aggressive. It feels like they're doing something harshful. So me disappearing in the twinkling lights was harshful. You're leaving, I aggressively left you to be attacked. So that was your mother. Did
Yes.
I? No. Did her mother? Yes. Inside the womb at birth, 1 to 5. 5, 4, 3. 3 years old. She's a 3-year-old.
Oh, my mom went to work.
Yes. It did no amount of holding their breath or crying or being non-talkative and whatever else you did, having papura, anything, didn't matter. Her mother still went to work. I was on death's door and my mother still went to work. That's what we know, right? Yeah, and if you see the camera, she's funny looking.
Yes, please look at the camera because I'm funny looking.
No, she's pouting. She's
She's
pouting.
making a funny
A
face.
pouty face.
Yes. And so that emotion is literally was bubbling to the surface. You didn't have self-talk with it, but boy, I'll tell you, it just spoke volumes. At least your eyes are not doing that now, and I don't feel so guilt. That's good. Jeez. No, that ain't it.
Puss in Boots.
Oh, what? I love Puss in Boots. Okay.
From Shrek, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And he's got his own movie now. I mean, I've watched all the old series, the sing-along, the old cartoon fractured of it, the different versions. And so I was kind of disappointed when they come out with the one. But yet, at the same time, I thought it was cute because I still like Puss in Boots. I thought they were going to do a remake of the original thing, but they didn't. Okay, in 5, 4, 3. Okay, so that is my way of remembering what I was talking about. And it's that awkwardness, that awkward stage of what do you do, how do you do it. That's another form of her repressedness, is how the awkward, just like when she goes to muscle test, she goes into that awkward state. What am I supposed to do? I forgot. You know, and it's just literally being punked into that spot. I don't know why they use the word punked, but it's... Okay, so what it was that Ashton Christian, Ashton,
This is awesome.
say it!
Ashton Kutcher.
Kutcher. Okay, when he punks people, what is it that they do? They set him up to fail.
Right, play a joke and ha ha ha, everybody gets to laugh
So,
at you.
the first time somebody punked you was inside the womb at birth 1 to 5, 5, 4, 3. You thought your mom was telling you a joke, and she didn't.
She's, what? You're gonna do what?
Yes.
You're gonna, what? Oh, well, watch this. Oh, you're gonna do this?
She got really good at that. Yeah, that's...
What can I cook up to get back at you because you punked me? Watch this, I'm gonna punk you back. Oh, I'm on death's door. Good luck.
Yeah, and you were on that 2 weeks of death's door, and you got bored. Finally decided she's going to come back to life.
Fine, I'll do
way.
something else. Fine, I just won't talk during preschool. Okay.
That didn't work? Okay, fine, let me do something else. She's carried it all for her life. Is there more that she needs to heal? That? Yes! That's why I'm so glad tonight can be just all about let's heal
Me.
your shit.
I want to move forward. You want us to build a platform. You want me to heal.
Oh,
and I
yes.
thought about that earlier. I'm like, oh, I think I have some healing to do.
You ask and you shall receive.
Thank
That
you.
is awesome.
Yeah,
I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves in the show.
they're twiddling their thumbs.
They're
In the
twiddling their
chat room.
thumbs in the chat room? Okay, yeah. And there might be other listeners and stuff like this. There's all
Or
these
we're
different
just
ways.
really entertaining
Yeah, that's what I find out.
in my head.
I have not been in her head. That's okay.
No, in my head, I'm thinking that we're entertainment.
Oh, so that's RTJP starts again?
Yes. Full
Aha.
circle.
Loading or waiting?
Oh.
Yes, it was. Oops, I accidentally hit the button wrong. Okay, so what happens is that I have an ETE class, Empowerment Through Enlightenment class, and
no.
we can't usually go 2 hours
Oh,
without
no, you're
talking
not
about
talking about your boobs.
boobs!
Yes.
And he did something in the middle of the break that I have no idea. Why did he reach over and
No, nothing.
Anyways, he did, and the next thing you know, Jen's, oh, fine, I'll take the left one. And then it's like, what the heck? I'm getting all felt up. And so then she sort of starts taking her left and rights, and then Scott's going, great, we're talking about boobs. I said, oh, that's the first thing we're going to say when we get back online. I'm going to tattle on you guys.
Poor Scott.
Yes.
I just hate.
Look at the camera, show doctoring your pretty red face.
I hate it when women talk about their boobs. I just hate it. Yes.
And all the men are going,
Especially
yeah,
all
keep
these
going.
girls.
Oh, medicine women reveal.
Woo! Yeah, I
You gotta get to through the
girls in
whole show to
class.
get to the last 15 minutes.
You know,
So
and
we should-
I'm sorry, folks, I could not get the picture of her tattoo off her chest. So maybe sometime
Huh?
from the last time we had a
Well,
talk
she's
show, we
wearing
talked
lower cut
about
today, so.
the. No, I'm not going to say that.
No,
Because if you say the word wrong, then it'll say the wrong. But she has a tattoo on her chest of a witch.
Their upper
we were-
chest. To clarify that.
Oh, not the lower ones. Huh?
Well above her certain anatomy feature there.
Very good. That's why we make a participate. Yeah.
Exactly, the chat room is hopping out.
And then you can watch the video and watch us grab ourselves. Jeez.
Oh, boy.
All of a sudden, everybody's alive.
Alive!
That's funny.
Okay,
I
well, I'll
heard
see
you
when you
like
turn the
to
lights on just right. Everybody gets to see.
Because we're light workers.
I was talking about another way of lighting up, but that's
Now
all right.
the ratings are going to go through the roof now.
Woohoo! Mark's happy about that.
There you go, and you're
So
welcome.
is every guy listening. Jeez.
Something must be funny. Oh my gosh. Yes, you should have heard it. Yes, Karen, you're right. Sex does that. Yes, and yes, we are hard on him.
No, you're not.
I didn't say anything about that.
No, but I heard her thoughts, and of course, it just
Ah!
came.
Oh,
no,
boy.
it just I spoke. There's no nice word about how to say that. Okay, so anyways, now that I've said this, we were talking about relationships,
Healing and
wholeness,
holistic life. and
relationships.
healing.
In this
Relationships.
case, have my husband and I. One of the things we have to heal is we will both say the same thing, but in different languages. And
Oh, it's so frustrating.
tell us, Jen.
English
P.S.
here.
Being a roommate and hearing you both say exactly the same thing, and then there's like a 5-minute discussion about how they've said exactly the same thing, and then how is it going to be resolved?
She's
And
waiting.
then I'm waiting, and it's eventually we'll get
Well,
there,
then
but
pretty soon
but it's-
Brenda will realize I'm saying the correct thing.
Oh, yeah, we know we're going to have to heal that. Because when we were building my 60-foot labyrinth outside, we were figuring out the dimensions of the labyrinth, and our friend is standing there, and he asked me a question, and I said, oh, okay, just a minute, I'll ask my husband. I turned around and I asked him the question, and my husband's thinking about it, and I says, well, from my point of view, I see it this way, blah, 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 and then all of a sudden he goes, no, you got it all wrong. He says, no, it's this way, blah, 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 blah. And our friend's standing there going, you both said the exact same thing, and you guys are arguing about the same answer, or getting to the same answer. It's getting to the same answer. He's like, seriously? Oh my God. So that is something where we have to actually communicate. Okay. Is anything going on there? Okay. So, when you're over-identifying, like, I'll be talking to him, and I don't feel he hears me. And in some cases, he don't want to hear because all he has is his definition rolling around in that head of his. Oh, you should look at that face. And it gets frustrating because I know that we've dropped out of sync. And I'm like, wait a minute. We can't talk until we're ready. Yes, please don't clicky. Until you get back in sync. Because when you're out of sync, it causes us to... I'm trying to explain and you're trying to attack. And then I feel you're attacking and
I'm
then
trying to
be right. I know. I'd rather be happy
I'm
than
trying
right.
to explain the right answer.
And you're still trying to figure out how right I am, and you trying to figure out how you can apply that and say, I said it.
I don't know.
It's like when he had the Oreo cookies. As long as he could eat the whole thing. But as long as I got one, he could not say he ate the whole thing.
I didn't eat the whole bag. You had some.
See? He knows how to twist it. I've learned.
That's not twisting. I'm stating a fact.
So how old is he
Oh,
being
jeez.
when he is explaining things in that fashion so that
I
he
would
doesn't
say
get
about
2 years old!
49 and a half.
so he
No.
doesn't get blamed for certain things because he's got to have his perspective so that he doesn't get whammoed by any of his family members.
Yes, because at 2 years old, he had to explain away why he would steal the candy that his dad and brother wouldn't eat.
I didn't steal it. I merely borrowed it.
And he would tell you how he would look and see a candy bar in the refrigerator, and what would you do, Scott?
Well, I'm not admitting to any of this, but there's rumors that, let's say, the wrapper would stay there in the exact same spot, but the candy inside would disappear. So whoever checked it every day would see that.
Oh, the candy's still there.
The candy bar's still there. Then when they finally got hungry for it about a month later, they go to grab it and find an empty wrapper.
Yeah, that's the worst when you really are in the mood for it and it's gone.
Oh, that's funny. You snooze, you lose.
Yeah, he was talking to me one time, and I was eating a candy bar, and I take my time in eating a candy bar, so I had half of it on the counter or on my desk, and he comes in, and he's standing there talking as I'm sitting watching my computer, and then I look over, and he's standing there innocent, and then I would look away talking, and then before I realized what he was doing, he had woofed down my candy bar, but he did it in such a sneaky way that I did not know it, and he's like grinning ear to ear. Now Jen has watched me chase him through the house as he's chewing down on my chocolate stars, and I'm trying to chase him down. What's in that mouth of yours? And I'll pinch his nose, and he will still chew and swallow. I don't know how he breathes, but he
I derive oxygen from chocolate.
Is there a way that you would like to enjoy your candy with, I know you're enjoying it, but to wreak such havoc in the living situation that causes you to drop out of sync with each other?
Oh, it does. She loves it when I do that. I only do it because she expects it.
This is
she
like
loves
Bob
it.
Eubanks
Really?
and the Newlywed Game,
Did you
and
hear
I'm
that?
listening to both of you explain
Okay,
your
Bob. Did
situation.
you hear his logical reasoning?
I mean, you said
She
it's
loves that.
right, and I'm allergic to bulb
Yes.
crap.
BC.
Now you can't swear?
Now you can't swear. We've done it online. And now she's muting. She's finally taking a stand.
I've drawn my line in the sand the last 10 minutes.
Why not? Jeez. Okay. If you have any
I might have
questions in the
taken
chat room.
Candy maybe once ever.
Okay, how is you logistically trying to say that sentence to get away with it?
Huh?
You have a new maneuver of how you say things specifically so that you can get away with it.
No, I don't do things like that.
Oh, Ned,
I
listen.
know not what you speak of doesn't get away with things. As
Maybe
Yoda would
this could be
say.
an offline.
Yeah, we will have
discussion.
to do that.
Okay.
If you have something in your, if you want to talk about why would your life project in that fashion, then we can totally check that out. If something's going on and that you would like to...
Does this sound familiar as far as relationships go?
Yes. And again, why did you guys lovely project this out? Let's see, there's like one person that was thinking, interesting, and it was going back to when you were growing up, that how everybody else is more important than you are. Oh, you were always last. Somewhere you were always last. Then there is that, well, this reminds me of my sister when she constantly was fighting with Mom. I never got FaceTime with Mom because my sister had sucked it all away with her issues. So we could be the parents. Me and Scott could be totally the parents, and it's all about the fighting. And so then you're sitting in the background and feeling awkward because they're doing that certain behavior. So now I'll look and say, so why is it that I projected him to act that way? And it's like he wants to get himself involved, and that's his humoristic way. So why did he project me to do this? Same thing. It's just a part of our banter back and forth. Mm-hmm. So, again, if it is very familiar, you understand that these are the whispering opportunities. These are not called bitch slaps. These are the silent ones that somebody else is displaying. It's not nearly in your face, but it's familiar.
Right, I was just going to say, is it familiar?
And go more about the whispering.
Well, it's just, I mean, this isn't a negative thing, it's just...
But it's something that could trigger,
right.
Especially if you're sitting there coughing and you're like, why am I creating a physical reaction to them talking? You may think it's just in your environment, but if you're really listening, sometimes there's something that triggers it. Like I was laying in bed yesterday trying to sleep, and I woke up and my lungs started to fill up, and I'm like, oh, okay, why is my lungs filling up? And I says, what was I just thinking about? And I was just thinking about how I cause people to have grief. And I said, seriously? So I had to go back, and I was this 3-year-old that was going, I'm sorry. And literally it was the self-talk that was running through my head because the picture of what had happened throughout the day. I felt sorry. I wasn't guilty. It was just, I caused you grief, and I don't know how to make it stop. Or I accuse myself that I caused you grief. And in a 3-year-old, you got to remember, my dad was probably an alcoholic. Yes, he was. And he was an abuser, and so he flew off the handle. So the first thing a child is going to do is wants to find that compassion to help the parent calm down. So that usually means you blame yourself. And so my body started to, just because I was thinking it, half asleep, falling asleep, thinking it, and I didn't even really pay attention to what I was thinking because we have 41 thoughts per minute. But then my physical body started to react. See, and this is me because it goes back to when Scott and I, when I was 38, I had caused him grief, or at least my actions of what I was doing, he saw it as grief. And I could not help myself but to blame myself. I just caused him to be unhappy. And I literally started to get sick from that point on because I thought I had his support and love and find out he wasn't, that he was unhappy and I caused this grief. And it was like, what? And so then it's grief from every direction. It's just not one. It's every direction. So you want to talk about helping you solve the mysteries in your life. Some people say, no, there's no mystery. She's a bitch. But again, so why would you need that foundation to create this person to be this way? And sometimes they have to show up in that moment to you to recapture that moment. You couldn't process it. My 3-year-old couldn't process it. So my 45-year-old self had to create an incident so it could process. But if I wouldn't have caught it, I wouldn't even known it was connected. But again, being a soul coach, I have this way of that I can look at it, and I can teach others to look at it this way too.
And I was gonna say, because this is just kind of like I call it chitty chat, humor, banter kind of thing. But for some, if it's familiar, there's a possibility, I think, for some where it just all of a sudden it takes a turn.
Right.
Because I've been in this situation where it's kind of funny, we're kind of teasing and that kind of thing, and
one
then
person goes too far.
One person goes too far, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa! Somebody says one thing, and then all of a sudden, boom! It steps over.
Right,
you guys are just bantering back and forth, but it is. And maybe that's that. Oh my gosh, is it going to go one step too far, or that kind of thing?
So even though it felt good for you, somebody in the room could have felt like, oh, that reminds me of my mom and dad. Again,
Right.
These are the whispering opportunities to pay attention that you are not just thinking about the past. If you feel sad about it, then you're losing power, so pay attention. Before we go, I want to say it was Mark's birthday the other day, so happy belated birthday, Mark.
Yes,
Happy birthday!
And Mark, if we're doing a handoff, let us know. Otherwise, we want to just remind you that we're thankful to be on this radio station, and we have our next show on Friday from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to start doing interviews, and all I can say her name is Karina, and she's going to do. Jen's going to do all the pronunciations. That's all I got to say, and she is a reader, a medium, and a crystal channeler or something like that. So join us and come in with your questions, or come in with having a reading. I'm curious. I've never had one done by her, so this will be the first time that we've met. She's going to be telling us about her story from, what did I say it was? Something to discovery, to her destruction, what broke her down to make
From
her
destruction to discovery.
Yeah, and so we're going to learn more about that. So we're thankful for everybody here, and we have a lot of people in the chat room. We appreciate you all coming. And again, if you got questions or anything like this about relationships, about life, there's a healing tool for that. There's a way to have closure. There's a way to help you process it. When I see little kids get hurt and just cry and scream, there is a way to help them process. And if they can't do the tool, you can also be the tool for them. When my daughter was upset one time, I put my hand on her forehead and her hairline, and I just rocked her to sleep while she was thinking about the horror. Now guess what? That helped her body repair greatly. So, like I said, we're very thankful for having you in our space. Jen, is there anything else you want to say before we sign off?
Thanks for all the support, the listening, and participating in the chat room.
And Scotty.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for being with us.
Yes, we'll have to come up with the end line like other people. Have a good day. All right, out we go. Peace out.
Over and out.